What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes, and this is going to be my comprehensive analysis and review of Arete, and I'll be going over her best builds that you can run for different game modes, and at the end I'll have a special bonus segment regarding a theory craft if she had a preferred weapon. So if you do enjoy these free-to-play unit reviews, which I always do, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and with that said, let us begin.
Shall we then?
Arete is a 158 BST Red Mage Cavalier. Her stat spread is pretty similar to a lot of the mages that we have seen before, having lower speed and lower defense while having higher attack and higher resistance. So she ends up having 36 base attack, which is pretty good for a Mage Cavalier, and 34 resistance is also pretty nice, but she doesn't have a preferred weapon. Instead, she comes with a non-seasonal version of Conch Bouquet Plus, which we got on Summer Lawrence last summer, but I would say that the Rabbit Tomes animation is a lot cuter. So she has got Wrath Rabbit Plus, which is the same weapon, like I said. So during her first combat in player phase or the enemy phase, she gets plus 5 attack and resistance during the combat, and she can restore 7 HP after the combat. So this weapon only works for the first combat, and this is why many people kind of dislike it, because if you're going to be getting her danced and going to be attacking multiple units, then this weapon really has no effect. And if she faces multiple enemies in the enemy phase, then it really doesn't help her too much getting extra resistance. So it is to be used in a manner where she goes in and attacks an enemy, and then she can tank an enemy in the enemy phase. And after her first combat in either phase, she doesn't really get any kind of extra effect. So the self-healing is synergetic with the push skill that she comes with. We don't have a lot of Red Mage Cavaliers in the free-to-play pool. In fact, she's the second one in the Grail pool after Valentine Titania. We do get Mage Erica from the Hero's Path, but Mage Erica is not easily mergeable. Valentine Titania was released 2 years ago, and I would say that between these two, I would still prefer Titania because of her extra speed. Arete is definitely a lot more bulky by having extra HP and extra resistance and defense, but she misses out on 7 points of speed while having 5 points of extra attack. Titania on the other hand has got a lot more speed, and she can definitely invest into that with a plus speed IV and also go with a lot of speed boosting skills. So with that, she can function in both phases and double naturally with her speed. This next comparison isn't exactly free to play, but still I'm just gonna be doing it. So Arete is basically like a free-to-play version of Summer Mercedes, which we just got, but she's not as optimized. Mercedes still has higher attack and resistance. Mercedes isn't a very impressive Red Mage Cavalier compared to a lot of the really strong ones that we have, and Arete is even less so. Arete's base kit is even more underwhelming. Rabbit Tome is nice I guess, but then she has got Attack Res Push 3, which we already have on Brady, and Res Ploy is already available on Forest and also Ileana. So she doesn't have any kind of outstanding skill that you could fodder her off for, which further brings down her value. Overall, Arete is rather unimpressive as a free-to-play unit in the modern times. She does have workable attack stat and resistance, but that simply doesn't help in the modern times because Mage Cavalry units cannot function too well as a tank, especially when they do not have any kind of preferred weapon, because Mage Cavalry units inherently have lower BST compared to the infantry versions of the mages, and they also lack a lot of the defensive skills that a lot of tanks appreciate, like null follow-up and null counter disrupt, and so many other skills. So they are pretty much deprived of a lot of options which they cannot really utilize, and you need to basically have a good player phase as a Mage Cavalier to really shine, and having low speed just kills that. Still, you can invest into her speed at max investment, as you'll see. That is pretty much the best way of going about her as a Mage Cavalier, because when it comes to tanking, you can only tank to a degree because she doesn't have a lot of skills or the extra stats which other mage tanks have, and of course she doesn't have a preferred weapon. If you do like her a lot, then you can of course invest into her as a plus 10 merge project. Red Mage Cavalry units are rather rare in the free-to-play pool, and she's the only other mergeable option after Valentine Titania. She will also take less grails than Valentine Titania to plus 10 merge because Arete is a Grand Hero battle unit, so she's gonna be getting reruns and stuff, and that will bring down the grail value. But there are a lot of units why you may not want to invest into her. The first and foremost thing is that she doesn't have a preferred weapon, and another really big annoying thing is that there are not really a lot of good inheritable red tomes which are easily available. We do have stuff like Unity Blooms Plus, but that is present on a 5-star lock seasonal unit in Valentine Henriette, who most people are going to be using for far save anyways. We don't really have any kind of red tome equivalent of Flora Guide or Spooky Sensor or anything like that. So there are really not many options to choose from for a red inheritable tome. Premium Red Mage Cavaliers like Dual Lift, Legendary Lilina, even at being unmerged, can give you a lot better performance than a plus 10 merged fully invested Arete, which can be really sad. So if you already have Dual Lift, Legendary Lilina, and Red Mage Cavaliers like that, then you don't really need to invest into Arete. And her overall stat distribution is pretty mediocre as well. Mage Cavalry units are usually not suited to function as a tank most of the time. I'm pretty sad how they shafted Arete. They didn't even give her a preferred weapon and didn't really try with her stat spread either. So that's why I'm going to be going over that in my theory craft at the end. But if you want to build her up, then on a budget you can definitely go with Cook Riposte. So the self-healing from the Rabbit Tome is pretty nice with the push skill. And you can simply go with the Resistance Refine so that her Rest Ploy can work a bit better on a budget. And you can go with something like Mirror Stance or even go with Attack Rest Solo whenever that comes out. You can also use her in Arena Assault with Axe Breaker. There are a lot of Axe units and Axe armors in general which you can use her against. Like Legendary Edelgard for example has got follow-up negation, so Axe Breaker does help you get past that. And Attack Speed Solo can help you against many of the plus 10 merge armor units to just win the speed check and then use your Axe Breaker to double them. And Moonbow is going to be helping there. And finally, if you want to invest a bit more into her but still be on a budget, then you can definitely go with a Blade Tome. Her attack stat is definitely quite usable with the Blade Tome, and she can definitely function with a fully buffed Horse Emblem team or just with a Tactics team, just giving her a lot of debuffs. You can also run Attack Res Link from a 4-star Orochi, and Double Death Blow is just going to be giving you that extra power. And if you want to invest heavily into her, then I would say that investing into her speed is the best case scenario because like I said before, Mage Cavalry units don't function that well as a tank. So by investing into her speed, you can make her player phase a bit better. And it's kind of similar to Summer Mercedes. You know, if you are investing into her expensively, then you can also invest into her speed. And same goes for Arete here. So you can go with Attack Speed Catch 4 and go with a Fox Tome. So Fox Tome is really good for the player phase because it gives you that -4 debuff to all stats of the opponents. And that also includes the speed. You can stack it up with Lull Attack Speed and its debuffs, and that is going to be pretty fantastic. And then you can even stack it up with visible debuffs with a Menace skill, or even just run a Rouse skill or Speed Smoke or something like that. So a build like this is going to be making her reach over 60 speed, and that will definitely give her a much better player phase, which is really good at max investment. But still, if you would just want to stay with the route of investing into her attack, and you don't really like investing into her speed, which is fair enough, then you can pretty much go with Attack Res Solo 4, which can function in both phases. You can even go with Attack Res Push 4 because it does have good synergy with the healing, and you can run Lull Attack Resistance. That is pretty much going to be her best lobby skill if you're not investing into her speed. And Crook Riposte is going to be helpful because she's not very fast if you don't invest into her speed even at max investment. A Trace skill is also an option if you want to build up an expensive Blade Tome build, and Attack Res Push 4 is also an option if you're not investing into her speed. Arete can also be used in Arena with R Dual Cavalry 4. She doesn't really have anything too impressive, she doesn't have highest defense, which can be annoying at times, and the lack of inheritable red tomes is also going to be a big detriment, but still, you can just run R Dual Cavalry 4 and go with the first build and have Crook Riposte and Joint Drive Attack. Attack Defense form is going to be helping you with the attack stat and also with a bit of defense, which is going to be much needed. And if you want to invest heavily into her for Arena, then you can certainly go with the lower cooldown special like Blue Flame and have Lull Attack Resistance with Crook Riposte. Rabbit Tome is actually not that bad for Arena usage, but Unity Blooms Plus from Valentine Titania does give you that attack debuff, which will increase her physical bulk as well. And then if you want to invest into her speed and also use her in Arena, then you can go with the Fox Tome and run a Far Trace skill. So this can allow you to hit and run, which is pretty nice, and you can definitely make her a lot faster by just investing into her speed and speed skills. Arete is really not ideal for Aether Raid's offense scenario because like I said, she lacks Null Counter Disrupt or any kind of other skill which other infantry mages can run, and of course she has got lower BST as well. But if you want to use her, then this is pretty much the best way of doing things. You can run Mirror Stance 3 for the guard effect, have Lull Attack Resistance, and basically pair her up with a near safe tank. So her resistance can definitely get pretty high in the light season with Dagger and Air, and that can be utilized with Unity Blooms Plus for making her as a ranged tank. But many times she's going to be facing a lot of the blue threats which are going to be pretty annoying for her. And near safe is basically her way of dealing with Note, Legendary Sigurd, and many of the melee threats. So not the best unit to be used, but still if you really want to use her, then this is an option. She's a lot better in Aether defense than she is on the offense. On defense, of course, she can be used on a Note team, and Note can function really well with a lot of Cavaliers, just extending their range. So we don't have too many red threats that we can run. We don't have any kind of red bow Cavalier. We only had Valentine, Titania, and Mage Erica, and now Arete is an option. So you can run her with a Blade Tome and pretty much have Tactics buff or Hone Cavalry buff on her team so that you can buff her up, and she can still pack a punch. And most people are not going to be running lull skills on offense. They're mostly going to be running null follow-up or damage reduction of some sort. So she can definitely hit pretty hard with the Blade Tome. And if you want to invest heavily into her for Aether defense, then you can go with ARD Attack Speed 4, which you can get from Nifl from this banner itself. And you can go with Fatal Smoke, which is going to be stopping healing of Mystic Boost tanks and all kinds of other self-sufficient weapons. And Blade Session with ARD skill is going to be giving her really high offenses. Even though this is a max invested Arete for Aether defense, someone like Legendary Lilina or Duolith are still going to be a lot more threatening units to be facing. I think Arete definitely deserved a much better stat spread and a preferred weapon, so I would personally gear her stat spread more towards player phase usage and give her a lot more speed than she has right now, probably reduce her defense, HP and resistance by a bit, and make her as an offensive Mage Cavalier with a preferred weapon. I know she has got the Rabbit Tome in Revelations and that's why she has got that here, but still I've kind of tried to fit a lot of the effects similar to what she carries in Revelations. So at start of combat, if she's above 25% HP, she can get plus 6 attack and speed during the combat, and she can restore 5 HP to allies within 2 spaces after combat. So this is AoE healing reminiscent of the Fortify staff which she carries in Revelations as a strategist. And then the secondary condition is pretty interesting because if she's target of Sing or Dance, she can inflict -7 resistance on nearest foes within 4 spaces of her. And that is basically resistance cantrip, but she needs to be the target. This is again a reference to Azura being her daughter like she says in her voice lines, and this can also symbolize the enfeebled staff which she also carries in Revelations. And I would give her attack speed form 3 because we should definitely have that on some kind of grail unit, and go with attack res gap, and that would be much better than attack res push and res ploy that we have on her. So let me know what you think about my theory craft in the comment section down below. I mainly tried to make her a bit more unique, because we don't really have any kind of unit who can debuff opponents by being the target of Sing or Dance, and that does make a lot of sense for Arete lore-wise too, in my opinion. So hope you all enjoyed my review on her. Make sure to share this video with your friends who are thinking of building her up, and I want to thank all of my YouTube members for their constant support. If you enjoyed, then please be sure to leave a like and a comment, helps me tremendously, and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as the Rabbit Tome after the first combat in a phase. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.